Praise be to Jesus. Hi again, everyone. Charles here. Well, I've come across a story by Dorothy Cushing, I think her name is. Let me go up there and see. Cummings, excuse me. Dorothy Cummings McLean of LifeSite News. And, it's a wonderful story. It gives us hope and hope for the future and joy in the present moment. That young people would speak up today. The headline is, Over 100 Youth to Synod-Bound Archbishop. We Love Catholic Doctrine. Now, what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to go down to, all right, I'm going to read to you the letter that these young Catholics wrote to the Archbishop. Now, this particular Archbishop, Leo Cushley, is, today, because today starts the Synod, he is the representative from Scotland. So this is the letter that they have written to him. Your Grace, Most Reverend Leo Cushley, Archbishop of St. Andrew in Edinburgh, we write to you in advance of the upcoming Synod of Bishops on Young People, the Faith, and Vocational Discernment. As young Catholics across Scotland, we would like to express our hope and concern for the future of the Church in this country. In some of the discourse surrounding the Synod, we have noted a trend of suggesting that difficult aspects of the Church's teachings in matters of morals and matters of faith need to be downplayed or even put aside in order to be relevant to people's lives and sensitive to their difficulties. Some even imply that priests who hold to Orthodox teaching are out of touch with the lives of lay people and of young people especially. However, it is in fact this line of thought that is utterly in contradiction to our lived experience. What made us become and or remain Catholic against ever-increasing cultural pressure are those aspects of the faith that are uniquely Catholic, not things that can be found in social clubs, in NGOs, or in political parties. What matters is precisely the Church's claim to truth, her liturgy and sacraments, her transcendent doctrine, communicated in teachings but also through beauty and goodness, her understanding of the human person, laid out so powerfully for the modern world by St. John Paul II, and her moral teachings that, while so very challenging, also offers the only path to true joy and human flourishing, as we see in the lives of the saints. These are the things that convince us that here is something worth the sacrifice, something good for us and for every human being. Young Catholics are inspired by the heroic virtue espoused by the Church in opposition to the cynicism and pessimism of postmodern culture, a faith that merely legitimizes the habits we would otherwise have anyway in simplicity, not worth it. Is simply not worth it. Far from being out of touch, it is those priests who proclaim Orthodox teaching in its fullness with joy and courage who have been brought the light of Christ into our lives and really offered us his mercy, the remedy for a broken world, which does not pretend human brokenness is not remediable, but truly heals and gives the grace we need to live new lives of virtue. To those priests, we are unendingly grateful. Yes, we are. Sadly, Far too few young people have encouraged this fullness of the faith lived out visibly and confidently. A young Catholic father in America recently wrote to Archbishop Chaput that, quote, the disastrous effect that beige Catholicism, as Bishop Robert Barron aptly describes it, has had on my generation can't be overstated. From the heart of the young father, Charles Chaput, First Things, April 18, 2018. God has, in his mysterious ways, providentially and gratuitously blessed us with encounters, pastors, and formation that many of our peers have not had. We desperately want to share this great gift with so many lapsed and non-Catholics among our family, friends, and colleagues who have not rejected Catholicism, but a poorly understood shadow of it. If the synod is to bear fruit, it is with this task that it must help us. Absolutely. We need to ensure that our local Catholic communities are permeated with a Catholic worldwide and unashamed, that such an orientation is very different from the prevailing cultural trends. The sacramental life, beyond just Sunday Mass, needs to be obviously and visibly the foundation of Catholic existence. We must draw on our rich heritage to ensure the liturgy is celebrated with beauty and splendor, so as to reveal and draw us into the profound mysteries taking place. We need to see the various vocations lived out fully and joyfully, with parishes and dioceses forming a living iconography of faith, so that we can discern God's will for our own lives, not in isolation, but in ecclesial context. Excuse me a minute. Now, I wish I had some water here, but I don't. Young people need the chance to get to know our priests as priests, not just as administrators, nor presiders rushing from church to church, nor again merely as pals, but as fathers, whose fatherhood is rooted in their sacramental identity as men, called and set apart to absolve and to offer the holy sacrifice. Young Catholics find priests who live their vocation to celibacy faithfully and joyfully to be highly credible witnesses to the joys and challenges of life in Christ. The Church must be proactive and not merely reactive in facing the crisis affecting marriage and the family. To a large extent, Catholic married life have come to be treated as little different from secular relationships. Our economic and social structures are based almost entirely around a presumption of contraception, and this makes it extremely difficult for any couple who lives faithfully according to God's commandments. So many of our generation are living with the consequences of broken families, and this has engendered a cynicism about marriage. However, these young people have never been shown an alternative, and therefore the Church has a great opportunity and obligation to clearly, confidently, and joyfully proclaim the truth about marriage. Bravo. Young Catholics have a right to hear these truths at a local level so that our parishes are conscientiously supportive of the vocation to holiness in married life. This is vital, since it is firstly in the family that vocations are fostered, and it is on this foundation that an authentic renewal of Catholic culture and the life of the Church will be built. There is no doubt that discovering and living out one's vocation is very difficult in the modern world, as indeed it has been in every age. However, we know that God's grace is enough for us, and we hope and pray that a renewed faith and confidence in this will suffice the church and inspire young people to discern and live out their vocations faithfully. Entrusting the Synod to the intercession of St. John, youngest of the apostles, we assure you of our prayers. Signed. And all these people signed it, all 100 and something people signed the document. Well, this is just wonderful. It really is. Now, there are some places where I didn't read very well, and so I encourage you to reread this letter. I mean, it will really give you strength, and it's really wonderful. It truly is wonderful. It's so important for us to know that we're attached to other people around the world, and especially young people who, really believe, in what we believe. It's just really so important. And, this last part here, just this morning, God had put on my heart that I need to talk to you about Catholic ministry, and those of you who want to begin Catholic ministries, and what that's all about, and what it takes, what you have to give up, what you have to gain. So I hope to do that in my next video. But for right now, I think just generally listening to me, I think you picked up on enough points to see, oh, this is really great. This is really great. We'll see what this particular archbishop does. Well, if it, comes out on the news, which it probably will, because, Dorothy is good at following things up here. So we'll probably hear more about, what he has to say, whether he's really willing to stand up and support, not only in the words, which I skipped all of what he had to say, because words are words. Let's see if he'll stand up in front of all these, all the members of this synod here, and speak the truth here, So I hope later in the day to get up, some ideas here that might help you, those of you who want to start a Catholic ministry. So I think that's it for right now, and we'll talk to you later in the day. I'm going to put the St. Michael's prayer here again. Please pray again. Only 1 minute of your time. Please take the 1 minute. Bye.